Hello, I'm John Joe. Welcome to Lime War. Today we've got Natch, who's red over here on this island, versus OscarGrouch, who is over here on the main island. They both argued for this location for quite a bit at the beginning. And in this video, I'm going to do something we've never done before. Watch the entire replay on ×2. And part of that reason is because it's 2 hours long, and I simply don't have that much time to record today. So, we have Oscar, who is trying to claim his whole territory. He's going for a lot of barracks, which is a very good start early on. He has built a factory first, 2 factories, which are going for artillery. I would probably start with the barracks, especially when you don't know where your enemy is right now, but each to their own. I've seen many different starting moves do really well, particularly airfields early. So he's going for an airfield energy, and he's getting his supply depot up. He's also got transport boats being built, and they're going to go straight over to the main island. He wants to get some control over there as soon as possible, and he sent most of his units down here. It's these guys that are going to go over there and try and take some control. There's only going to be 3 of them though, so we'll have to see how effective it is. He's going to scout out with the helicopters to see where Oscar is. Oscar hasn't quite reached there yet, so he's not going to actually see much. There we go. He sees that Oscar has nothing there. He's pulling back, so he knows he's relatively safe. He's shortening the distance. He's going to get the boat to come this way instead. But it is on flag command, so it's going to try and take over this territory first. I don't know if that's intentional, but he's going to capture that territory anyway. He might want to do that a bit later, especially as he was trying to get over to this island as quick as possible. Nonetheless, he's pretty much conquered his whole island at the minute, so he'll have a lot of units to send over there very soon. And that boat decides he's not going to capture the territory anymore. He's just going to carry on going now. He's decided that Natch doesn't he doesn't need to follow Natch's orders. He's just going to carry on like that. He may have flicked it from arrows and I didn't see it. I'm assuming that's what happened. Anyway, that boat's sending all of those guys across. Oscar is getting pretty close to this area now, so Natch is going to have to do something. Like, take control and build some barracks really quickly. He's taken the territory now. Oscar can see that. So he's probably got a good idea that the enemy has started on this island over here and has jumped across. He has spotted it and he's going to react. He's going for the arrow command straight away. He wants to take out these units before they get any control, and that is what they're going to do, I think. Don't think Natch can do anything about this right now, but he has helicopters that he can send in, and he's going to. Added helicopters to this command, and he's put one over here. So he's going to send in all of his helicopters just over there, and they're going to do a pretty good job trying to take out some of the units, but the units he's trying to defend are going to go down, so unfortunately he isn't going to be able to take control yet. The helicopters are doing a lot of damage on the ground right now, and they're fairly unchallenged. There is one SAM unit there, there's another one coming in, so Oscar's done a good job setting up his army composition right now. He's got quite a decent amount of SAM production out of those helicopters pretty much before they become too viable. But they are still a bit out of position right now, but those SAMs are moving in. They are still going in a bit one at a time though, and they're going to get taken out before they can group up together. Some of the helicopters are distracted, so the SAM are going to be able to take out some of these guys. But Oscar hasn't forgotten to try and keep expanding, which is what he's doing right now. Making sure he doesn't lose control of his island, as well as trying to keep expanding on his own. But Natch does have control of all of his island, except for this one territory here, because there's a little white bar there you can see. He hasn't captured it yet. And I think he's going to forget about that, and that's 12 extra eco he could have every minute. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but this early on and with a 2-hour game, that's a lot of eco. So the SAM units have tried to attack the infantry over here, and it's going to take a lot of damage. That helicopter took it out really quickly. So without grouping your SAM units up before they go into battle, the helicopters were taking them out before they could become viable. Which is unfortunate for Oscar, because he now pretty much has most of his base, most of his territory undefended right now from air. But he has managed to stop Natch from getting control of this island, so he is still doing a good job. And Natch is running out of energy. We can see this black smoke coming out of his units, which means those helicopters are pretty much stopping themselves. And that's mostly because he's going into a lot of navy now. So it's not just the transport boats. He's got missile ships here to stop any air units coming in and trying to take control here. Oscar is holding some of his units back. He has grouped a lot of SAM units up, and they are going to come in now and potentially stop these helicopters when they become more energy efficient, let's say. He has lost this territory, but Natch hasn't quite taken control of it yet. The SAM units are literally on it. They're stopping the infantry taking it at that point. And he's lost this territory here, so Natch is closer to getting control here. And Oscar down here is pretty much done with taking over this territory, so he's going to bring these units up very soon. And over here, the submarines have spotted the transport boat, and they are going to chase it down. But will it manage to deploy in time? It won't. That is unfortunate, but I don't think it would have managed to do too much damage up there. But if that was a hidden gap there under fog of war with no submarines, that could have been a nice way in to do some damage. I want to know, has he switched into building destroyers now? Looks like it. I think these are destroyers. They're good for killing submarines. And he's moving these guys away to take some territory, but also because submarines are in the area, he wants to move back a little bit. We can see the transport boats are trying to sneak in through the south now. Probably coming into this area. Let's have a look what he's done there. Yeah, straight into that gap there. And he's got submarines of his own, so he's bringing those into these territories to claim them and get some energy, he's hoping. There's a few extra territories down there he can grab. The helicopters are guarding the missile ships from any submarines there. That's not actually a bad idea, but I wonder how his energy is doing. So he is struggling with his energy, but the helicopters are returning now, which will allow him to build up again. But he's building even more helicopters. There's a lot of helis on the map. And that's because they don't need the launch pads to remain at the airfields, so the airfields can just continuously produce them. The attacks down here aren't doing too badly, but there are just too many units from Oscar to be able to try and keep this control. The artillery there are doing really good, especially with the mountains here, which is slowing down the units, giving the artillery more time to do that damage. But they do get swarmed by the infantry. Over here, it looks like Oscar is on the move with some transport boats of his own going towards the back of the map. And take over these two islands is his next objective, by the looks of it. And Natch is building up a bigger force over here now, and is trying to send in more via boats. At this point, he's going to send the helicopters in first, relatively first. And that is a big swarm of helis, but there's quite a few SAM now. I'd like to see this from his point of view. Got two groups of SAM units over here and a lot of helicopters. The helicopters are going to clear out this group pretty quickly. And there aren't many SAM left, to be honest. Those helicopters tore through them really fast. Mostly because of the ×2. You got to remember I'm on ×2 right now, because sometimes I forget. There's a load of helicopters left over, and that looked like quite an efficient amount of SAM units. And if this territory is claimed, a lot of these helicopters might have landed here. He only needs to hold this area until those helicopters can get back in. He might be able to clear the ground for his units to come through in this area. Oscar, I think, knows this. He's going to bring his submarines through here, which missile ships here now are unprotected from those helicopters, so they're just going to come in and clear the ground. Transport boats are going to bring in some units through this section now, but those submarines have revealed themselves. Is that going to put him off with these transports, or is the submarines going to end up switching out to take on the transports? The missile ships are holding their own against these subs, but they're just not that effective against them. We do have a few stray destroyers here, but if they're grouped like this, they're going to get taken out one by one. There we go, we can spot the submarines, which are doing a very good job clearing out these destroyers, but he's just ran out of energy. But it doesn't matter too much because they are still in one group defending themselves. We've got a submarine that came through over here, but it just didn't survive that. We've got the helicopters coming in now because the submarines cannot shoot the helis. That's not a bad move, but he can't see those submarines anymore. They're stealthed, and there's no units there to detect them. On the ground over here, though, there's quite a few SAM units, but they're on the front line, and the infantry are going to try and overwhelm them. But SAM are pretty good against infantry. But they're not good enough to stop infantry spamming. I've tried it myself. But there is quite a good unit composition here. We've got a lot of artillery. We had some infantry on the front line here. But the SAM units on the front were taking out the infantry pretty well. There's not enough SAM there. If he brings the helicopters back in this direction again. But he is going to have to worry about this submarine spam over here, which are going to try and take out the Navy Yard. I don't think he's worried too much about losing that Navy Yard. He's already got the ships in. He just wants to take control of this land here. Oscar, on the other hand, still has a lot of units moving in, but doesn't have a lot of production. He's got quite a bit up here. And a barracks down here. Which I suppose at this point in the game, Natch doesn't have as much either. He's just got a lot of units that keep surviving, like the helicopters. I say that as they go down quite rapidly then. But it looks like Natch finally has control over some territory in this area. Only one so far, two, and about to be... Oh no, it has that one, and that's going back to Oscar. And as you can see, the helicopters are now landing here, so they can refuel faster. But Natch is out of energy. He's struggling with that, and the black smoke is showing. And as soon as these guys launch, it's going to be a lot of energy to try and keep up with. The helicopters are going to go down here to try and clear out a space there, or just check out the map. I assume he's just scouting the area. Artillery are in defense there, and the SAM are just too far away. These helicopters can take out all these artillery right here for free. There we go. The SAM have moved in. They've taken out that helicopter, both of them. And Oscar's submarines are fairly unchallenged right now. There aren't too many units to be able to defend against them. There's 4 submarines there. I think he's bringing in his helicopters now to try and take out the rest of them, which I think will be quite successful because he'll be able to see them all with the amount of helicopters he's got. He's even bringing in some strikers. As you can see, those submarines are going down pretty fast. So he's on the retreat. He's moving back. He doesn't want to lose them all, but he's out of energy, so he can't run. The defensive line here isn't holding up. He's got units, the enemy units right on the defensive line here, so they're not going to be able to create those fortifications in time. We've got some units seeping around the side, but Oscar does have control in the north part here, where you can just sneak round down through this area. And Oscar is keeping a couple of units down here to make sure the enemy doesn't try and sneak around the back. But unfortunately, I don't think the enemy needs to sneak around the back at this point. He has control over this part of the ocean. He can send his units in pretty fast. There is a fair amount of SAM units here, but it's not enough, especially when they're kind of exposed like this. These artillery are going to be able to get to those very soon. And this artillery is on an arrow command going down, I assume. No, because they weren't attacking these guys. Oh, they were going for this defensive thing. So they were going down towards that. And that's actually killing his own units because they're trying to get to the defense location and prioritizing their own movement rather than attacking. And artillery need to deploy to attack, so they weren't attacking at all. Got the helicopters coming back in, and there's not too many of them now. I don't think Natch has many left. He's still got a few here. But I think that's it. He's mostly switching into strikers now. The helicopters come straight in for the SAM, but unfortunately that wasn't really a good move. He's attaching it to this, and the helicopters are in range of the SAM, so they prioritize that instead. It might be best to try and take out the SAM first, and then try and get your helicopters to come in this way to attack the artillery. There has been some damage down here. Let's have a look at Oscar's side of things and what he's doing on the back end. So he has managed to take control over this island pretty much, and he's about to go down to this island. I don't think he's got the transports ready to do that, but he could do it pretty soon. So Oscar's still trying to increase his economy, but he is losing his economy to Natch over here. Strikers are coming in, taking out those SAM before they can fire pretty much. And now this fortification from Oscar is absolutely useless right now. And at this point, it's only going to hinder him as his artillery come in, and only when they get blocked will they fire. So this guy's moving, he's getting shot at along the whole way, and he's not actually doing any damage until he is forced to stop. So this defensive line is having a negative impact on his army's actions right now. He needs to delete this line if he wants to win this fight. On the other hand, Natch is literally just running one line going straight through the enemy. He's trying to get to the enemy's base as quick as possible. And he is taking the territory along the way. And he seems to be grouping some units at the sides to keep his flanks covered. The strikers are coming in to take on anything that can be considered a threat. Even backed up with missile ships, these cruisers were not enough against this air force. And then they finally come into engagement with the actual navy here, and they're too weak to actually even do any damage. Oscar's managed to break through the southern flank here, but it keeps getting refilled because of the way the line commands are working. Most of them are coming in through the middle, and if there's a space available, they'll stray off to either side to fill up those gaps first. So it's not a bad way to keep up the pressure and defend your sides at the same time. So Oscar's lost the front line here. He's setting up a new defense on the back here, which might be quite good if he's got enough artillery there to build these fortifications before the enemy get there. But unfortunately, the enemy's coming in straight through here, so he's managing to get a lot of damage on these end targets. And now Natch's navy is coming in through here. He is probably going to lose these ships, but he does have a bigger army at the back there. But he did lose the cruiser. He's only got one submarine now. And that destroyer's on haste mode, I think. Or it was just very wobbly. Oh no, I'm on ×2 as well. That doesn't help. I forget how fast they are on ×2. Over here, we have a ton of commandos flashing in and out as the stealth is revealed and disappears as units die. The helicopters are going to come in and try and stop this army. Now we can see how big it is from his point of view. That is quite a lot of commandos. There are some infantry groups in there as well. But the helicopters just don't have enough missiles to take them out. They are going to land. They'll have to come back after the refueling. And a lot of these will go down purely because they're so slow at moving. That the helicopters are getting in some free hits over time just because they're quite slow at moving and they can't really fire back against the helis. So that is unfortunately bad for Oscar that he just doesn't have any anti-air in this area. But they are ploughing through, to be fair. These commandos are getting through a bit and they have managed to meet this army. But unfortunately there's just not enough of them left to be able to put enough pressure on there. So it seems that the fighting has dissipated, but we do have a small artillery force in the forest over here. And Natch is still applying pressure over in this location. He's realised that Oscar can't get through this gap now, so he's sending in some units to come in through this way to start taking his territory away. Which will increase his ability to affect Oscar's economy. Strangely though, Oscar's economy isn't doing that bad, and I think that's because, yeah, he's got a trade route set up. So he managed to take control of this island, setting up a trade route, which is increasing his economy, despite losing a lot of it to Natch. Which is something Natch can't really do. I don't think he's got any trade routes. Oh, he does. He's got some here he could use. At this point, the strikers are moving in quite far. Do they have... Yeah, an airfield here. There you go. An airstrip. He's got a strike command. He's spotted the factory here, so he's trying to get in there, but he just doesn't have enough forces here to make it worth it. So he isn't going to worry too much about the strike command anymore. He is just going to keep trying to push through with his units. He's found an exposed group of SAM units, and he's going to try and take that out. He's got control over here with submarines. And he doesn't have any navy yards. Let's have a look from his point of view. Oscar's. Oscar has 2 navy yards, so he should be able to build a bigger navy than Natch. After colonising that island, he does have... Oh, there we go. He's got a big navy over here. He's got some more islands that can be taken over there. And we've got 2 barracks that are about to go down in this section over here. As both forces grow weak in the north, it comes down to other aspects of the battle. So there's the navy that's coming in over here we know about, which might get spotted by this one random submarine there. And the forces are keeping up the pressure, but Oscar is pretty much just stalling with units coming in here. He's only got a couple of infantry, which is cheap, and it's stopping the enemy from moving with the artillery. But unfortunately, it's not going to be enough in the long run as the artillery start to build up. There's a little dance from that artillery there. Not sure what he was deciding to do there. I assume the Navy has been spotted as I saw those submarines move. Yeah, so he's pulling back his transports, making sure he doesn't lose any. He's bringing in his other Navy force. He doesn't have much else to fight with, so Oscar might take control of the ocean, stopping the reinforcements on this island. He might be able to push back in the end. But to be fair, Natch does have quite a lot of production on this island as it is already. And is about to take control of the southern part of the island completely now. And unfortunately, sometimes controlling the ocean just isn't enough. We've got the ships going down. Here, they're trying to take out the production on the island. And these submarines have ploughed through in here, and there's quite a lot of damage to be done. There's a few destroyers there, and some cruisers, I think. Oh no, there's mostly just destroyers, I think. So those submarines are not going to survive very well at all. There's the cruiser. But the helicopters might be able to do a lot more damage. The air force that he's got there could probably take out most of that navy. On the front lines here, the defensive force has gone down. The factory here has gone down. And I think at this point, I haven't seen as many air units. So I probably would stop producing SAM because we've got a lot of SAM on the front line here. Just switch straight into artillery. Because that's what's killing him right now, is what's on the ground. And yet those helicopters and strikers have come in to finish off the Navy units here. We got 1 submarine left standing. Or swimming. As it sneaks off up into the north part. It's going to end up encountering a destroyer, if he can even make it that far. Those helicopters and strikers have got it. Over here we got another artillery doing a bit of a dance. But this battle on the bottom side of this little island here, we've got mostly SAM units here, so the artillery are going to be able to get through that quite easily. We've got infantry going through the middle, which are going straight into artillery, which is not necessarily great, but there's quite a lot of infantry here, so they might be able to separate and then plough through together. The strikers are refilling this airfield, and they're being sent off to attack in other places, but the transports have resumed transporting. Oscar doesn't have too much of an army left over there, but he does have quite a bit of production, so he should be able to build up a second army again. He is crossing the islands over at the bottom here. And he is going to be able to do that once again straight away. But he still has to keep control over this area. If he loses his trade route or his production over here, he's going to struggle really hard to come back from this. Natch does seem to have pretty much control over this battle, so throughout most of the game he has been progressing forward at all times. But I am wondering how much this has cost him, because Oscar is now at 1,300 a minute, and Natch is at 900 a minute. So even though Natch is less eco than Oscar, Oscar can still come back from this. Natch is doing a better job with his kill to death ratio, or his at least cost effectiveness of his units. Otherwise he wouldn't have got this far. Either way, Oscar's had control of the map the majority of the time. He had more of the map earlier on. He still has this territory down here. And even now, after Natch has taken control over it, he's still not... Like, Oscar still has quite a bit of economy left over. He's actually still winning when it comes to eco. Surprises me at this point. The Navy Yard is under attack from these artillery here, as well as his barracks over there. So Oscar might end up losing his ocean control, or at least his production there. We've got the Navy coming through here, just sweeping the ocean for any submarine activity, making sure it's safe for his units to cross. So he is still trying to expand, and eventually he's going to have to come to this area, which I don't think Natch has any defense for, and he might not even see it coming, to be fair. He does have a submarine here, so if Oscar decides to go here first and then up there, that might be a bit of a bigger struggle for Natch to fight against. But there's a lot of artillery on the front line now, and we still have SAM being produced. We have seen some air units still over here, but we still got a lot of SAM left over, and he really needs to get rid of this ground army. He needs a lot more artillery on the field, not more SAM units. And unfortunately, it looks like Oscar is low on production here. There you go. Even though it's in the positives, his money did get low, and it did stop the production for a little bit. Oscar switched his defensive line for an orange flag line, which is great because this will be where they move in, and any units they will still attack. But he is still moving it back constantly, so looks like Natch is building a lot of infantry. Yeah, loads of barracks over here. And did he lose his factories? It looks like he's lost his factories over there. Did Oscar manage to take him out somehow? Don't think so. Doesn't look like it. Oscar hasn't really used air units in this game, which is kind of strange. I would have expected something, especially with so many air units there. It might have actually been good to use interceptors in this one. So it looks like Oscar is going to lose this frontline base. I mean, he's going to lose this factory, and when the production starts getting destroyed here, that's when things start to move forward a lot quicker. Even the transport boats are moving in straight over here, which is kind of a cheeky move. But he does have control over there, and he's able to get the units in there a lot quicker. We do have some more submarine production as well. He's got these energy wells over here, which is power plants. I am curious to see what's going on over here. It looks like Oscar is content on getting this island here, but there is a submarine there, so whatever he's doing over here is going to get spotted. It looks like he's planning to build up a large navy force. So we'll have to see how that goes. But over here, the battle is still raging on. And these strike commands, he's just literally targeting the buildings, which means most of his units are going to ignore anything on the ground that's attacking them. They're going to move straight towards the structures and take them out. I think he's got more than enough units here to actually do that and make it effective. But up here, there's not as many units that are affected by it. So I think these units are going to get taken out by the artillery that's going to continuously fire at them. But the bottom side production has been taken out now fairly quickly because of that quick move. The Navy force is on its way, and Natch is going to respond by pure air force. And most of these units are cruisers, sorry, I was going to say submarines. And I feel like Oscar should definitely have built a lot of anti-air units. Maybe destroyers and missile ships would have been a better combination. Because most of the enemy's forces are submarines and air units. Cruisers are not going to be that effective against them. And now Oscar doesn't have too many units. He has sent some units there, but he gave up straight away. He's gone straight into the attacking Natch's base. So I feel like we're going to find out the decider very soon. Is Oscar's attack going to work against Natch? And if it doesn't, how can Oscar come back from that? And the same vice versa, because Natch doesn't have anything here. He might not even know it's happening right now. But his air units will probably be able to take them out pretty quickly. But if he's still focused on the ocean and the battle up here, he might completely miss it. And that artillery is trying to take out a merchant ship there. And he's going to go straight for the economy now, take out that trade route. Which will probably kill Oscar's economy. But it's not doing too badly now after the production was destroyed. So he's still got quite a bit of production left over. So that he can start to rebuild somewhere else. Feel like those air units went on a mission. Did they come down here? They did not. They still haven't spotted this area going on right now. Without noticing that, this could end up being a problem for Natch. Gonna get surprise attacked. And these air units could easily deal with it as it is now. If Oscar was to build on that island and start producing a lot of anti-air, it would be really hard for Natch to take him out. So we have a massive swarm of infantry coming in through here. And the only way I know how to destroy that is either with your own infantry swarm, a nuke, or artillery. Or air force like Natch has. But they are struggling to take out this one structure because this strike command is actually having the same effect we saw from Oscar earlier with the defense command. These units are not really attacking. They are able to shoot as they move. So it's not as bad as using the artillery, but when they're out of range, these group of artillery are going to kill so many units that are just trying to walk past them. So this is allowing Oscar to get a lot of free kills right now. There aren't many units attacking the units that are attacking them. Eventually, they might get through, but if you take this strike command off, they'll start killing the units first and get there in the end. But in this situation, the production structures are still up and running, and they are still building up their forces here. Luckily for Natch, they did manage to break through there, even though they weren't targeting the units. Over here, we have some units sneaking through. It looks like Natch has discovered this attack, and Oscar is going for those airfields by the looks of it straight away. But unfortunately, his force there just isn't really enough. He does have some structures there, but that attack revealed his location, so I don't imagine that Natch is going to let that slide. I think he's going to figure that out pretty quickly. Oscar, on the other hand, has brought another force up through here. He's going to try and take on this here, which is great. It's going to relieve a lot of pressure here, but it might be too late. It looks like the production is going down. And because the production is going down, it doesn't matter if this attack is successful or not. Over here, Natch has left his air units to circle there, which is okay because it's still defending him. But it won't be long until he sends them down here when he realizes that the territory there has been taken and that there might be something there. Unfortunately for Oscar, his attack here wasn't successful, and it's just caused Natch to come down here and take his territory back. But he does have some production over here, and that's what he's trying to use. He's trying to spread out his forces across this way so he can still present a good challenge here. He's trying to build a defense here to take control of this section of the island. Especially, which is really important, especially as he's lost this top section now. which had a lot of his economy with the trade route set up. But he has a lot more money to deal with now, and he still has a good control over a certain part of the map. I mean, Natch has taken control from here to here, but Oscar's putting pressure on him down here. Which I can imagine Natch is going to try and take out the production very quickly. He's got a lot of infantry coming in through there. Those strikers could take out this area quite quick. And we have transports coming in behind this defensive line here. That's not there anymore. And we have Oscar's Navy fleet coming through there. And Natch has taken control of this island completely now at the top. Could just bring his units down here, but he does have to be careful that Oscar doesn't just bring his units back across. Strikers and headers are on the move again. They're going to follow this command. I think that might have been an accident, because those strikers could be attacking down here. Just add them to this command. And he has spotted it because he's targeted this structure here. So most of his units again are going to try and walk straight past all of these artillery. But to be fair, he's targeting more structures, which means they are going to spread out and go through them anyway. So it doesn't matter too much when it's like that. But there's a lot of strikers there that could just take out most of this area very quickly. I'm surprised Natch hasn't done that yet. He's got good vision over it. He knows what's there. You can see there's a couple of SAM units, but if he sent his strikers in, they'd probably take out those first, as we've seen before. Natch is now going to bring his units down from the top there, trying to take back control of this island here. This match has been a very big, like, to and fro match. The strikers are now trying to deal with the Navy force coming through. I think that's pretty much what he's saving the strikers for. He doesn't want to lose out on any traps that could be around. And lose his strikers, and he won't have anything to do with the Navy units. He's just having a drink. But it looks like Oscar's taking control of certain areas, but is struggling to keep control there as soon as Natch can respond, and that's pretty much because of the mass infantry. Got so many infantry units, they can be pretty much everywhere and still present a strong force. Natch is building an airfield here, which is going to help increase his presence around the map, especially as how much we know he likes his air force. There we go, he's bringing his strikers in now. I knew it wouldn't take too long. They're all going to start swarming down in this section, which is quite an important part for Oscar. And unfortunately, he doesn't really have the air units, anti-air units to take him out. He's took one of them out, two. But his frontline artillery are pretty much going to do most of the damage here. And these strikers are having strike commands on these structures. And I don't think there's enough strikers to spread out that thinly. But they are taking a couple of the structures out, so they're doing a very good job right now. But now they're going to start flying over one at a time, and they are going to get taken out by this SAM units that are on the front line again. And more units are coming in via the transport boat here. And even down here as well. We got some units coming back in. We've got some production on the map, so he's going to be able to push through there once again. Over here, though, Oscar is refusing to let Natch get anywhere onto this island right now. And is taking control fully of this mountain. Over in Natch's base, though, his air units are not being as superior as they used to be, as they fly on strike commands, and we finally have one of my favourite structures in this game, a nuclear silo. And that could be a game changer, and it hasn't been spotted yet, because not only is the structure stealth, but it's in a stealthed area. So it's going to take a lot to reveal that structure. And over on this airfield, we can see the damage that has done to his air force. He hasn't got any strikers left at his main base. Oscar might actually be able to take out Natch's main area. Original starting location. That's going to be a lot of energy he's going to lose as well. over on the initial island that everyone wanted, it looks like Natch is bringing in a swarm of people down, and will pretty much stop the attacks on this area. It's going to wipe out Oscar, I think, pretty quickly. But we also have another nuclear silo there. Oscar is going all in on his nuclear production. However, he's in negative economy right now, and he's got 600. He needs 500 once these are built for the rocket to start producing. So if he does go under 500, he won't actually be able to make use of these structures. Not unless he sorts his economy out first. And he set up a nice defensive line here, but the units are coming in through the back, meaning those fortifications are not going to be good enough at that point. Natch still does have some strikers over in this area. They're circling this command here, so he could take them off and start taking out as much of this frontline army as he possibly can. But he does have a more balanced economy, so he could start building up his units again to take him out as they get closer. But I think he's just using them to slow down the army for now. And the strikers are still on strike commands on these production structures, which is unfortunate, as they're going to get taken out by the SAM units before they can actually do any damage to him. And this is why I don't like using strike commands for air units. I'll place a circle command here and just let them circle and choose their own targets. That's where I want damage done, damage it. Over here, the artillery are putting pressure on Natch. But Natch does have control of this main island. They've basically swapped positions at this point. But Oscar does have a better scenario now, because if Oscar takes control over this island, he also has control over all of these surrounding islands as well. So Natch is reduced to just this one main island in the middle. But that's not too much of a bad thing. However, it is a lot of area to cover and a lot to defend from. It looks like Oscar's completely got control here. The tanks just rolled out here. But unfortunately, there's too many artillery there to be able to make it viable. And the production's going down. He switched them to flag commands now instead of arrow commands. I mean, Oscar has. There we go. So you can see their flag commands now. He's taken over a lot of territory instantly. And the airfields are about to go down. Another tank's rolling in, but that's not going to survive much longer against all of these artillery. And the striker takes off just in time to get away. Main thing Oscar's struggling with right now is energy. He doesn't have enough energy to fuel his army, or his navy at least, because he's got a lot of navy units. And having that many, I think I would stop the production of it, so that I can start, increasing my production of these nukes. Because currently he doesn't have any. He could build 2, but he just doesn't have enough money to sustain it. He's got massively negative economy, which is stopping the production of his main forces here. So this one's not working anymore because he just can't buy any unit. However, it has paid off in his favour over here, as he has taken over this map. He's taken over the island, and they've swapped positions. But now Oscar just needs to get his units back over to this main island, set up his nukes to fire at his army, whereas Natch needs to take control over more islands around the map, and potentially control the waters again. Natch was so focused on getting this main island, he lost control of the waters, and Oscar took advantage of that. But Natch definitely could come back from this. He's building up a mass swarm of helicopters once again, but he has no energy. There's an energy well there he can use if he spots it. However, he has stopped production over here, so he doesn't have any more. units being produced from these barracks, and that's just to increase his eco while he doesn't have too much to do. Over here, on the other hand, we have an airfield which he's just demolishing right now. He could try and launch these helicopters. To be fair, he couldn't launch them at all, but... So I won't say that anymore. I take it back. And Oscar's setting up his trade routes across the map. Fortunately, these artillery might be able to stop them if they were just positioned here. He might be able to shoot them and stop the economy. And I wonder if it's possible in the future if you could try and change these merchant ships to go this way. Just to go to a new route and start a new chain. I know you can't bring them from here to here, but, you know, bring them to this line here to be connected to that. We got a group of tanks over here which are moving over to this island. So we've come up to a stalemate where they swap positions, and we're just waiting to see what the next move is going to be. Oscar's got his economy back online, so I'm assuming his rockets are being built. He's got one there, and this one over here is being built as well. Most of his navy is over on this side. Probably should keep some on this side for a while, because a lot of Natch's army is right here, and we can see the rockets being built, so the army's accumulative vision is actually helping him here. And he's able to see this. And we can see that Natch has just decided to build an energy refinery, which Oscar can also see. Don't see many energy wells on this middle island, so I think Natch has been so used to having a lot of energy. Moving over to this island, losing his main island, he's going to struggle for the rest of the energy. However, he is moving his units across through here. He is going to get spotted by Oscar pretty quickly because they're passing the main forces that are on this island right now. This would be a bad situation. If Natch went for a nuke, he'd be able to destroy all of these units in one go. We'll have to see if Oscar actually spots this attack. He does. He's moving him into position. And I've just noticed he's got another rocket here. So Oscar is going to be building 3 rockets to fire at the enemy at the same time, I hope. That would be pretty cool. That rocket's ready, I think. Yeah, and this one over here is ready, so he could be ready to fire a couple of rockets as it is. From Natch's perspective, he can see the rocket, and he's got a lot of units on the front lines very quickly. He's spreading out the attack, so he's got a couple of units coming in this way and some this way. And Natch is going to go straight in for that production. With so many units on the island, it's probably not a good idea to go for the production just yet. Maybe the nuke, but not the production. Get the helis to target production, sure, and then have your army attack the army. And that nuke is off. He is going to try and probably fire here, hoping to get the units before they get here. Or is he going to go further in? Oh, he's going to hit the nuke. He can see the nuke with his units that are in the water there, so he's going to go for that straight away. That was not a bad idea there. Is he going to fire the other nukes? He isn't. He doesn't know what's there, so he's going to leave them for a while. Which is a wise thing to do. You don't want to miss, because that would be wasted money. And I think these units are going to get the Navy Yard just there, as it's fairly undefended. And although Oscar saw the attack coming, he could have spread these units away from the mountains towards where the attack was coming from. But unfortunately for Natch, I don't think he's going to keep control of that island unless he keeps pumping units into it. But the more units he goes into that, the less units he's going to have here. And we can already see Oscar's taking advantage of that. He's bringing in some units across the water, and he's taken over this area here. He's going to go straight for the production as it is undefended. There's an airfield here as well he's going to get. I hear the nuke being fired. Is that one going to get fired too? No. So the nuke's moving in to try and take out the production. Natch has been hit by the rocket. It took out, I think, 2 barracks at least. And there's 2 strikers here doing nothing, so Natch didn't even notice that. And I don't know what that rocket can actually reach there, but Natch does know about it. He can see that. Otherwise, that rocket's pretty much out of range. I have to check it, yeah. Can't even reach the Navy over here yet. That rocket will have to be saved for some defensive purpose later, I think. Oscar has managed to save this island over here. He is going to bring some more units in, including some of his army, or navy. And his helicopters are coming in to target that rocket, which Oscar pretty much has ready. He can fire it once again. If he was quick enough, he might be able to take off with it. Don't think he's spotted the attack. The helicopters could not finish it, so his infantry on the ground are going to come in to try and finish that off. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Oscar could easily spot that and try and fire the rocket once again, but he is focused over here as well. Not only has he had the infantry on the front lines, he's got artillery up here, tanks in the bottom here, and I think Oscar is going to be able to take back the island he once lost. The rocket did go off. It came here. I don't think it did too much damage, but it definitely caught something. And it is causing Natch some big issues right now, especially, I think the biggest issue was going from having 3 energy wells to none. I think that's what flipped this battle, and Oscar's increase in economy. Losing out on his production and still not panicking and just trying to use it to his advantage, I think that's something that helped him. Got a lot of production getting taken out now. How is Oscar using these tanks? He's just on movement commands, and they are going to try and flood in through here and take out some of this production. It looks like we're going to lose the energy power plants as well, which is going to make it much more difficult to use these helicopters. And even on this island, Oscar has managed to defend some of it, but I do think Natch is going to take over it. But the cost of taking over the island from this angle is going to be too slow to make it worth it when Oscar took advantage of that from this side. Natch is blowing up most of his navy and he's trying to take back this area, but these production structures have been placed way too close to these forces. And if they spot it, they'll be able to come down and take them out before they're even useful. Have a look what else Natch did. He's got more barracks up there. He's got a factory there. Don't think that's too much of a problem, but Oscar was trying to take over this land down here, which he is doing once again. We have a rocket there as well, so we couldn't place it too far down either. I don't think Natch could have had a good situation out of this. The barracks have come online, and Oscar hasn't really noticed. Oh, I think he's just spotted him, and he's coming in down now. He's going for that energy well. He's got a lot of units heading straight up there towards that. Otherwise, I think he's fine for stuff. He's got another rocket coming up here, being built. Been built, it's ready. And his other rocket over here is probably ready as well. Oh, he doesn't have it anymore, I remember. Got destroyed by the helicopters. So yeah, a lot of these artillery are going to come straight through here and take out the barracks of Natch. And that would be them gone as well. And he got rid of his navy yards for that. He needed to give him some time. Maybe build in this area over here and then have a group of them build up before going on the attack. But they're gone as well. And he's got a force coming in through here, which will be able to take out this factory. And he can do the rest of these units coming in this way, probably. And what is Natch doing here? He's losing a lot of his ground here. and a lot of his production there. He has managed to take over some of this island here, but I'm pretty sure Natch has just lost this match with such a good start from him. It is surprising to see how it ended. I did not expect Oscar to win that, especially as he lost his main location completely, had to restart and made a great comeback. The end of the match has been reached. So, I hope you enjoyed this battle. There are 2 videos on screen right now. Thank you guys for sharing your replays, and I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching.